Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is African American political participation, and we're fortunate to have with us to talk about African American political participation, Reverend RDockery. Reverend Dockery has been with us on a number of occasions, and he's given us quite a bit of information in reference to the mentoring programs of African Americans, the church and African Americans, and et cetera. But today he wishes to talk about the political participation of not only African Americans, but really the political participation of citizens themselves in the political arena. And of course, Reverend Dockery, let me welcome you to the show this morning.
Thank you for having us.
And to tell you how delighted we are to have you here with us.
My pleasure.
Very good. Now, what I'd like to do today, Reverend Dockery, is to get some information in reference to your background, your education, and some of your experiences. And then that will end the first 6-minute segment for this program. And then we'll come back with 8 minutes, and we'll talk about the participation of Africans in the political process, perhaps saying something that could encourage African Americans and others to get out and participate in the suffrage. But first, let's talk about Reverend RDockery.
All right, sounds great. So I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois, attended public schools there, and I came to Nashville 26 years ago. And in pursuit of my bachelor's degree, currently have a bachelor's degree with a focus in history from Fisk University. From there, I got my master's degree in education with the focus on leadership supervision from Trevecca Nazarene here in Nashville. And subsequently, we went to Walden University to begin our doctoral studies in K through 12 educational leadership. So we're working real hard to wrap that up, the research and dissertation process for the PhD in education, K through 12 leadership.
And so you've been involved in all kinds of activities in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, absolutely.
And as a matter of fact, I think I indicated earlier that we first met you as a mentor. You had a program dealing with the efforts to mentor young African American men. How did that go?
It's still going. Over the years, I worked as a school teacher. I taught in Metro Public Schools. I worked in the correction facilities. Worked as a supervisor in a youth detention, Woodland Hills Institute here in Nashville. And started my nonprofit back in 1998, and that was building families and communities, Missions Incorporated, which we talked about. And from there, we had several initiatives, one of which was the fatherhood development piece, which you were kind enough to join us in a major lecture series back in 2006. We had a parent involvement training piece. We had a piece where we were focused on education and support services and things of that nature. So that's what has kept us busy. That and wife and children and pastoring formerly Mount Sinai Cumberland Presbyterian Church and currently Bethel Family Church. A little small non-denominational body. So that's been keeping us busy.
And now you're concerned about the political process and, and African-American participation, of general participation in the political process. And what we do, I think we've got about 2 minutes before we end this segment for today. But let's make some statements in reference to political participation.
So we see the data, and we see today, particularly after the age of President Barack Obama, the first African-American president, where there's a huge decline in African-American voter participation across the nation. There was this energy that burst back in 07 and 08 that ultimately put them in, and we saw that decline by 2012, where there was this lack of interest. But historically, there's a historical basis for this. I'm convinced, as a student of history, that there are a lot of reasons why not just African Americans, but specifically African Americans, have lost confidence in the electoral process in America.